The unthinkable truth is this. Most people will spend over 90,000 hours trapped in invisible cages, chasing security and facing the irreversible pain of never tasting a single day of true freedom. You wake up, go through the motions, repeat the same grind, and convince yourself that this is life. Meanwhile, a hidden blueprint exists, one that the ultra-wealthy, the few who control millions, exploit every single day. And the insane part, it's the exact same blueprint anyone can use. But here's the paradox. Almost no one will. Fear, comfort, and society's invisible rules paralyze the masses. People trade their freedom for small, temporary relief, never realizing that the system is designed to keep them just on the edge of desperation. And while they chase fleeting security, the ones who understand the $100 million money models are quietly multiplying value, multiplying wealth, multiplying influence, compounding freedom in ways that seem impossible. Imagine if you could see the hidden levers of human behavior, the levers that make customers feel like your product is not optional, but essential. Imagine designing offers so irresistible that resistance crumbles before it's even processed. Picture turning a small idea, a tiny skill, or a simple service into an unstoppable engine that generates millions without burning you out. Most people think money is about luck, inheritance, or being in the right place at the right time. They are wrong. Money is predictable, it is structured, and the elite exploit a system that the world pretends doesn't exist. They've decoded human desire, behavior, and scarcity, turning these truths into formulas that produce massive results, quietly and invisibly every single day. And the most terrifying part? You already have everything you need to start, but the first step is brutal. You must see the truth, the unfiltered, uncomfortable truth that almost everyone avoids. Everything you've been told about work, success, and earning is designed to keep you small. This is not a motivational pep talk. This is not fluff. This is the first step into a world where ordinary rules no longer apply, where a single shift in how you structure value can transform your entire life. By the time you reach the end of this audiobook, the way you think about offers, money, leverage, and freedom will be completely rewritten. Because here's the secret the ultra-wealthy don't want you to know. Freedom isn't earned by working harder. It's engineered. And the engine is called a $100 million money model. But before you can build one, you must understand the invisible forces controlling human behavior, the unseen rules of value, and the brutal realities of scaling. And as we peel back layer after layer, the truth will hit you like a lightning bolt. The world you live in is only a fraction of what's possible. The next moments will be uncomfortable. You will realize how much time you've already lost. You will see the invisible traps you're in. But if you can absorb the next 60 minutes, if you can truly grasp the $100 million money model, your entire trajectory will change. Not slowly, not incrementally, but explosively, permanently, irreversibly. And the question now is simple. Will you keep walking in chains, or will you discover how the few turn ideas into millions, and how you can do the same?
Chapter 1. The Hidden Blueprint. The moment most people wake up to the truth, it hits like a freight train. Almost everything they've been taught about work, money, and success is a lie disguised as advice. Schools, society, even families sell the illusion of security while quietly conditioning you to trade your hours for a paycheck that will never grow beyond a ceiling. Most people accept it without question, trapped in a system built to reward obedience, not brilliance. But some break free. A rare few step outside the cage and see the invisible gears turning behind the world's wealth. These people recognize patterns where others see chaos. They understand that money is not just a reward, it's a reflection of value multiplied through leverage, psychology, and systems. They see opportunities in overlooked spaces, gaps in markets, and flaws in human behavior that almost everyone else ignores. Alex Hormozi calls this the hidden blueprint. It is not about working harder, grinding longer, or sacrificing life for hours on end. It is about designing an engine that multiplies impact and income without dependence on your own labor. It is about understanding the architecture of wealth and learning to manipulate it ethically and strategically. The first revelation is brutal. Most ventures fail not because the idea is bad, but because the system behind it is invisible. People think money comes from effort alone, but effort without structure is a treadmill. It burns energy without creating momentum. The hidden blueprint is all about constructing the framework before chasing the outcome. It's about designing leverage into every corner of your business, every interaction with a customer, and every touch point in the delivery of value. Look at the gyms Alex invested in. On the surface, they seemed ordinary, small businesses competing in crowded markets. But beneath the surface, each gym was a carefully calibrated engine. Every membership tier, every onboarding process, every upsell, and every retention strategy was engineered to maximize value, minimize friction, and compound profit. The systems allowed clients to experience transformation while the owner scaled effortlessly. Revenue didn't grow because of harder work, it grew because the blueprint amplified every action. This hidden framework is universal. It doesn't matter if the business is physical, digital, service-based, or product-driven. The same principles apply. Identify a significant problem, design a solution that delivers undeniable transformation, and structure the offer so that the perceived value far exceeds the price. The world rewards those who can multiply value and punishes those who only trade time for dollars. Almost no one sees this. The masses continue grinding, believing that consistency equals progress, while the few who understand the blueprint capture the exponential rewards of leverage. And this is where the terrifying truth emerges. Opportunity is everywhere, but only those who understand the invisible rules can exploit it. You could have the best idea, the best skills, and the most effort in the world, but without this hidden framework, the results remain microscopic. The next layer of the blueprint is even more shocking. It exposes the invisible structures of human desire and behavior. Every sale, every negotiation, every interaction with a customer is influenced by deeply ingrained patterns that most people never study. The elite don't rely on luck. They reverse engineer outcomes by predicting behavior and designing offers that almost feel unavoidable. Scarcity, urgency, perception of transformation, and social proof are not optional. They are the DNA of every successful money model. And here is the brutal edge of reality. If you continue ignoring this invisible architecture, your efforts will always be capped. You will produce results far below your potential, watching others achieve explosive success from ideas no more brilliant than yours. The blueprint is not a guarantee. It is a multiplier. How far it can take you depends entirely on how fully you internalize and implement it. By the end of this chapter, one question will burn in your mind. If the system is visible, if the rules can be learned, why does almost no one use it? The answer is simple, yet horrifying. Fear, inertia, and ignorance. Most people are unwilling to see the uncomfortable truth that freedom is engineered, not earned. They prefer the comfort of repetition to the risk of mastery. And yet, if you have the courage to step into this framework, the next revelations will unlock doors that seem impossible. You will see how offers can be engineered to be irresistible, how systems can amplify effort into exponential results, and how value can be captured at scales that defy imagination. The hidden blueprint is the first step, but the next step, the creation of an offer so compelling it becomes irresistible, is where the true transformation begins. What seems simple on the surface conceals a complexity that can turn ordinary ventures into unstoppable machines of wealth. Prepare yourself. The next chapter will expose why almost every business fails and reveal the invisible levers that can make you untouchable in any market. Once you see it, nothing will ever feel the same again. Chapter 2. The Offer Paradox. Most entrepreneurs and business owners operate under a deadly illusion.
They believe that a good product or service is enough. They assume that effort alone, hours invested, and incremental improvements will naturally attract customers. They are wrong. The brutal reality is that value alone does not sell. Effort does not convert. The market does not reward competence. It rewards perception, psychology, and transformation. An offer is not a product. It is a promise. It is the bridge between desire and fulfillment, the invisible contract that convinces someone to trade their attention, their money, and their trust. And herein lies the paradox. Almost everyone builds offers around features, benefits, or personal effort, rather than constructing them around the human need for immediate, tangible transformation. They labor tirelessly creating solutions nobody truly craves, while the few who understand the hidden rules convert effortlessly, multiplying revenue without working harder. Alex Hormozi mastered this principle, and the results are staggering. Instead of asking, "How can I improve my product?" he asked, "How can I design an offer that is impossible to refuse?" The answer isn't subtle. It involves engineering every component: pricing, bonuses, guarantees, scarcity, delivery method, so that the perceived value far outweighs the cost. The customer must feel not just compelled, but almost irrationally compelled to act immediately. Consider this: two gyms identical in equipment, staff, and location. One struggles to attract clients. The other consistently fills its roster and expands rapidly. The difference is not talent, marketing, or luck. It is offer design. The winning gym did not lower prices, advertise harder, or work longer hours. It structured membership packages, included bonuses, layered outcomes, and positioned scarcity to make the offer irresistible. Customers didn't just join, they felt privileged to do so. And the paradox becomes even more extreme. The better the offer, the easier it is to sell. Most entrepreneurs fear raising prices, fearing rejection or failure. But when an offer is constructed around transformation rather than features, higher prices amplify desire instead of suppressing it. Scarcity, urgency, and perceived exclusivity work together to make premium pricing feel like a reward rather than a barrier. The mathematics of human behavior are simple, yet terrifyingly powerful. People evaluate perceived gain far more than cost. They are wired to respond to certainty, status, and transformation. An offer that aligns with these impulses becomes a gravitational force, drawing in customers effortlessly. The stronger the perceived transformation, the more resistance collapses. The paradox is that complexity often undermines the offer, while clarity and extreme value amplify it beyond imagination. And yet, almost everyone continues to create offers that fail. They overcomplicate, overdeliver, or misundervalue their solution, convincing themselves that effort equals results. But the truth is opposite. Over-delivering can destroy perceived value, under-delivering erodes trust, and misaligned effort wastes time. Offers are not linear, they are psychological machines. Every element must be calculated, orchestrated, and amplified. This is where the $100 million money models reveal their power. Every top-performing venture does not sell products, it sells transformation. Every interaction, every presentation, every bonus, every guarantee is engineered to maximize perceived value while minimizing friction. The customer doesn't just purchase, they enter a system designed to ensure compliance, satisfaction, and loyalty. Resistance is eliminated before it even appears. Most people will never see it. They will continue building features, optimizing operations, and pushing harder on the treadmill of mediocrity. But the few who understand that offers are the engines of leverage, who master the paradox of perception over effort, who engineer desire rather than chase it, will create exponential growth. One brilliant offer, structured correctly, can eclipse years of wasted effort and generate returns that seem impossible.
And the most unsettling reality is this: understanding offer design does not guarantee wealth, it guarantees opportunity. You still must act. You must master the mechanics, study human behavior, and structure your system to capture value relentlessly. Once the offer is perfected, the rest of the blueprint, multipliers, systems, retention, leverage, activates with explosive force. By the end of this chapter, one truth will settle into your mind. The product is rarely what sells. What sells is perception, clarity, and the irresistible promise of transformation. And if you fail to engineer that promise, no amount of work will ever convert to wealth. The next chapter will amplify this even further, revealing how small, calculated shifts in value and perception can multiply revenue hundreds of times without increasing effort. Once you see it, the rules you thought were fixed will feel like illusions, and the path to compounding freedom will become painfully clear. Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click. Chapter 3: The Multiplier Effect. Wealth is rarely linear. Most people believe that working longer hours, sacrificing more time, or grinding harder will eventually create massive results. They are wrong. The reality is that money, influence, and impact multiply, not add. The difference between stagnation and explosive growth is understanding leverage, the ability to convert a single action into outcomes far beyond its initial input. This is the multiplier effect. Alex Hormozi built his empire not by laboring endlessly, but by creating systems, offers, and structures that amplified every action. Every interaction, every decision, every move was designed to create multiple layers of impact. One client interaction became referrals, testimonials, and recurring revenue. One strategic adjustment in pricing multiplied income exponentially. The secret lies not in working harder, but in constructing a framework where each effort is magnified beyond imagination. Consider the psychology behind it. Humans respond disproportionately to perceived value and structured offers. By adjusting one variable, adding a bonus, layering scarcity, improving the perceived outcome, revenue can increase hundreds of % with minimal additional effort. The multiplier effect is not theoretical, it is observable, measurable, and repeatable. Yet almost no one leverages it because it requires thinking in layers, systems, and amplification rather than linear effort. Imagine a small gym with 30 clients. A single adjustment in offer design, adding a high-value package, or restructuring membership tiers can increase revenue tenfold without adding hours. Add a system for referrals, and the same adjustment grows exponentially as each client becomes a conduit for new customers. Add strategic pricing and psychological triggers, and growth accelerates further. Multiply this across multiple locations, verticals, or products, and the effect becomes staggering. The mathematics of compounding human behavior and perceived value are ruthless. Either you exploit them, or you remain confined to mediocrity. The multiplier effect extends beyond revenue. It applies to influence, reputation, and market positioning. A single successful offer or strategic move compounds credibility. Every satisfied client, every testimonial, every visible success amplifies trust in the marketplace. This amplified trust converts into faster sales, easier expansion, and greater leverage over competitors. Every action, when multiplied through structure and strategy, creates a cascading network of advantage. Yet few entrepreneurs understand the invisible rules. They assume growth is a sum, not a multiplication. They track effort rather than outcomes, grind without design, and measure success by hours rather than impact. This is why most ventures plateau, why talent often fails to translate into wealth, and why linear thinking is the silent killer of potential. The multiplier effect is unforgiving. Miss the variables, perceived value, pricing, scarcity, and amplification, and your efforts generate minimal returns. Master them, and a single, carefully calculated change can generate outcomes that would otherwise require years of work. It is not magic. It is architecture. It is a system of cause and effect designed to convert minimal input into maximum output. And here is the most profound truth. Understanding the multiplier effect is not just a business strategy, it is a mindset shift. It rewires the way you see effort, time, and opportunity. Suddenly, ordinary actions acquire exponential potential. One conversation, one adjustment, one structured offer does not remain isolated. It multiplies through systems, perception, and human behavior to create a chain reaction of results that seem impossible to achieve linearly. By the end of this chapter, the realization should be stark. Your efforts are meaningless unless they are structured to multiply. Every moment spent without leverage is wasted potential. Every idea, every product, every interaction must be engineered to compound in value, influence, and revenue. The next chapter will reveal how to build systems that convert multiplication into unstoppable, self-sustaining engines. Once the architecture is complete, the exponential potential of your actions becomes a force that cannot be ignored, resisted, or replicated by those still trapped in linear thinking.
Chapter 4. Systems over hours. Most people worship hustle. They equate exhaustion with achievement, late nights with success, and sheer effort with progress. They measure their lives in hours, not outcomes. But the elite, those who generate millions and influence exponentially, operate differently. They understand a ruthless truth. Time is finite, effort is limited, but systems are infinite. The difference between stagnation and explosive growth lies in designing processes that work without depending on your personal labor. Alex Hormozi built wealth not by grinding harder, but by creating repeatable, scalable systems. Every decision, every interaction, every operational process was structured to amplify itself. One client conversion became dozens. One marketing campaign became a self-perpetuating engine. One operational tweak transformed daily chaos into predictable, compounding revenue. Hours were no longer the limiting factor. Systems became the lever that multiplied every action beyond the bounds of personal effort. Consider this. A solo entrepreneur can handle 10 clients at most. A systemized business can serve hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands, each interaction flowing seamlessly through automated processes designed to convert attention into revenue. Each task is optimized, delegated, or automated, removing the dependency on fatigue, willpower, or personal presence. The result is not just more output, it is exponential output, achieved with far less effort than the world assumes necessary. The secret lies in architecture. Every high-performing venture is an ecosystem. Customer acquisition, onboarding, fulfillment, retention, upsells, and testimonials are not scattered tasks. They are interconnected cogs in a machine. Adjust one cog, and the entire system multiplies its effect. Miss a cog, and the machine falters. Most entrepreneurs fail because they treat tasks as isolated chores instead of components of a dynamic, compounding engine. Even perception can be systemized. Alex's gyms leveraged standardized scripts, automated follow-ups, tiered offers, and structured client journeys. Each touchpoint was engineered to maximize trust, accelerate decisions, and amplify perceived transformation. The business didn't rely on him showing up or working longer. It relied on systems that consistently delivered extraordinary results. Revenue grew, influence grew, reputation grew, all without linear increases in personal effort. The terrifying reality for anyone still trapped in linear thinking is this: no amount of hustle will overcome a lack of systems. Effort without structure is wasted energy. Hours without leverage produce exhaustion, not freedom. You can grind daily, push harder, and still plateau because your framework lacks multiplication. The multiplier effect is meaningless without the architecture of systems to channel it. Systems over hours also mean that freedom becomes possible.
When processes operate independently, work no longer consumes life. You can scale while living, expand while resting, and multiply outcomes without sacrificing sanity. The elite understand that time is the ultimate currency, and the only way to maximize it is by building structures that function without constant supervision. Yet designing systems is not simple. It requires a mindset shift from "I must do everything" to "I must design everything." Every step, every touch point, every interaction must be mapped, measured, and optimized. Inefficiencies are deadly. Bottlenecks are silent killers. Missed opportunities compound silently, eroding potential revenue and impact. Only those who think in structures, flows, and leverage can escape the trap of labor for money. By the end of this chapter, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Effort alone will never create extraordinary results. You can outwork, outgride, and outlast thousands, but without systems, your impact remains strictly proportional to hours spent. The elite convert minimal effort into maximal results because their actions are embedded in structures designed to amplify, automate, and compound. The next chapter will take this even further, showing how scale can be achieved without personal sacrifice. It will expose how recurring structures, compounding leverage, and strategic positioning allow one to multiply revenue while preserving time, energy, and freedom. Once you see it, the rules of work, growth, and wealth will feel completely rewritten. Chapter 5. Scaling without sacrifice. The conventional wisdom tells you that growth demands sacrifice, longer hours, skipped meals, endless stress, and the depletion of personal life. It's a lie most entrepreneurs accept as truth, grinding themselves into exhaustion while watching competitors who understand leverage surge past them effortlessly. Real scaling does not require more labor. It requires strategic design. The elites scale without sacrificing freedom, sanity, or long-term health because they structure every element of growth to compound naturally. Alex Hormozi's approach exposes the brutal inefficiency of traditional effort. He built multi-million-dollar businesses not by working harder, but by creating systems that multiplied every touchpoint: acquisition, onboarding, retention, and upsells. Each element reinforced the other. A single conversion wasn't just revenue, it triggered a chain reaction: referrals, social proof, loyalty, and recurring income. Scaling wasn't linear, it was explosive. The first rule of scaling without sacrifice is leverage. Labor alone can only stretch so far, but leverage amplifies every action beyond the bounds of individual effort. This can take the form of automation, delegation, or systems that operate independently. Alex turned small teams into massive engines by designing workflows where each member's output was exponentially magnified. The business grew faster than any single person could work. The second rule is structured compounding. Scaling is not about adding clients or revenue linearly. It is about building processes that turn a single client into a repeating cycle of value extraction. Membership tiers, bundled offers, recurring subscriptions, and high-value packages create invisible loops where each touchpoint compounds over time. Growth accelerates automatically without increasing effort. Time becomes optional. Results become exponential. Pricing is a secret multiplier in scaling without sacrifice. Most entrepreneurs fear raising prices, believing it will reduce acquisition. The truth is the opposite. Strategic pricing, when combined with perceived value, scarcity, and transformation, multiplies revenue faster than any number of additional clients. Higher prices amplify not only income, but perceived credibility, creating a feedback loop that attracts more high-value customers. Scaling does not demand more energy. It demands smarter structuring of offers. The third rule is positioning. Markets reward dominance, not effort. By carefully positioning an offer, a brand, or a product within a target audience, you can achieve outsized results with minimal labor. Alex mastered this principle by identifying gaps in perception, human behavior, and market expectations. A correctly positioned offer converts effortlessly, compounding every action into layers of revenue and influence. Scaling without sacrifice also requires ruthlessness in elimination. Time spent on non-essential tasks, low-value clients, or inefficient processes erodes potential exponentially. The elite do not simply add more, they subtract what does not multiply. Each decision is a calculation. Does this action scale impact, value, or revenue? If not, it is removed. This is the hidden mechanic of explosive growth, the ability to focus only on multipliers and eliminate drains. By the end of this chapter, the principle is clear. Growth and freedom are not mutually exclusive. Scaling is not about sacrifice. It is about intelligence, architecture, and compounding systems. When leveraged correctly, a business can expand revenue, influence, and impact while preserving time, energy, and mental clarity. The elite do not exhaust themselves. They build engines that function autonomously, multiplying every action into irreversible momentum. The next chapter will expose the hidden mechanics of market dominance, how timing, positioning, and psychological leverage can allow you to capture enormous opportunities before competitors even recognize their existence. Once this is understood, scaling becomes unstoppable, and the illusion that effort alone drives success collapses completely. Chapter 6. Market Domination. Most businesses compete. Few dominate. Competition is exhausting, expensive, and rarely sustainable. Market domination is different. It is a quiet force that bends the behavior of customers, competitors, and entire industries without requiring endless hours or heroic effort. The elite achieve this by understanding invisible levers that most entrepreneurs never notice: timing, positioning, and psychological influence. Alex Hormozi's businesses exemplify this principle. He didn't just enter markets, he engineered dominance. Each gym, each offer, each expansion was strategically placed to capture attention, maximize perceived value, and prevent competitors from gaining traction. The difference between ordinary growth and explosive dominance is not effort, it is design. When a business dominates a market, it doesn't chase customers, it attracts them effortlessly. Timing is a lethal weapon. Most ventures launch without regard to market conditions, trends, or human behavior cycles. The elite, however, align every move with peak opportunity. They understand when scarcity creates urgency, when novelty sparks desire, and when perception magnifies value. Launch too early, and you waste energy on an unready audience. Launch too late, and competitors capture your opportunity. Perfect timing amplifies every action exponentially, turning ordinary strategies into unstoppable momentum. Positioning transforms perception into power. Markets do not reward quality alone. They reward clarity and dominance. By staking a claim in a way that communicates authority, expertise, and exclusivity, businesses make it almost irrational for customers to choose alternatives. Alex structured every offer, every presentation, and every client touchpoint to convey not just value, but market superiority. Competitors exist, but they feel irrelevant before the first sale is even made. Psychological leverage is the hidden engine of domination. Humans are wired to respond predictably to scarcity, authority, transformation, and social proof. The elite exploit these patterns, designing every offer and interaction to align with these impulses. Customers feel compelled to act, not because of pressure, but because the structure of the offer triggers innate decision-making processes. The business doesn't sell, it orchestrates outcomes. The result is revenue, loyalty, and influence that scales faster than effort could ever allow. Domination also requires ruthless focus. It is not enough to compete in every niche, chase every trend, or serve every audience. The elite identify high-leverage opportunities where a small shift in positioning, offer design, or timing produces outsized results. Resources are concentrated, effort is multiplied, and every decision is calculated for maximum impact. Spreading energy too thin guarantees mediocrity. Focusing on multipliers guarantees dominance. Most entrepreneurs never reach this level because they mistake activity for progress.
Endless tasks, social media, minor optimizations, and incremental changes are invisible against the compounding effect of strategic dominance. One carefully structured market move, correctly timed, perfectly positioned, psychologically amplified, can eclipse years of random effort. Competitors struggle to replicate it because they lack the architecture, insight, and systematized leverage necessary to match it. And here is the terrifying reality. Domination is invisible until it strikes. Markets shift rapidly, and those unaware of the underlying levers are blindsided. While the masses grind, the elite execute moves that create irreversible advantage. Timing, positioning, and psychological engineering combine to make entry almost effortless and scaling automatic. Customers flock, revenue multiplies, and competitors react too slowly to prevent irreversible market capture. By the end of this chapter, one principle is undeniable. Domination is not about doing more. It is about designing more. Every action, every offer, every interaction must be structured to capture attention, convert desire into action, and prevent resistance before it exists. Effort without design will never produce dominance. Master the invisible levers, and markets become playgrounds where extraordinary results occur effortlessly. The next chapter will expose the secret architecture behind multiplying human behavior into unstoppable revenue, how perception, urgency, and compounding transformation create offers that customers feel compelled to accept, regardless of competition. Once this is understood, no market will feel too crowded and no competitor too powerful.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click. Chapter 7. Compounding Influence. Influence is not a byproduct of wealth or authority. It is the invisible engine that multiplies every action, every interaction, and every opportunity. Most people underestimate its power, believing influence grows linearly through titles, recognition, or effort alone. The truth is far more brutal and more rewarding. Influence compounds. Every decision, every interaction, every perception builds upon the last, creating a network of credibility, trust, and authority that grows exponentially. Alex Hormozi understood this principle and weaponized it across every venture. Influence was not accidental, it was engineered. Every testimonial, every client success story, every referral, every case study was strategically positioned to reinforce authority. Every public appearance, every conversation, every online post amplified perceived mastery. Influence became a compounding multiplier, accelerating revenue and opportunity at rates unimaginable to those who rely solely on labor or visibility. The first element of compounding influence is consistency. Repeated, predictable, and visible delivery of results builds credibility faster than any marketing campaign. Customers, competitors, and audiences observe patterns, internalize trust, and begin to anticipate outcomes. This anticipation alone converts potential friction into automatic engagement. Each interaction strengthens the perception of mastery, creating a self-reinforcing loop. Next is leverage through others. Influence expands not in isolation, it spreads through networks. Every satisfied client, every team member, every partner becomes a conduit for amplification. One well-crafted testimonial can spark dozens of referrals. One strategically placed story can create ripple effects across an entire market. The elite design systems where influence compounds invisibly, turning every touchpoint into a node of growth, credibility, and revenue. Timing and positioning again act as multipliers. Influence is most powerful when aligned with moments of opportunity, moments when audiences are primed to act. By synchronizing messaging, offers, and social proof with market psychology, the compounding effect accelerates dramatically. The perception of dominance,
authority, and inevitability becomes undeniable. Customers and competitors alike are compelled to respond, not because of coercion, but because the structure of influence makes it unavoidable. The terrifying reality for those trapped in linear thinking is this: influence compounds silently. Every missed opportunity, every ignored testimonial, every under-leveraged connection reduces potential exponentially. Those who failed to design influence see effort consumed with minimal return. Those who understand it transform every action into an engine that multiplies outcomes far beyond initial input. Alex's gyms were microcosms of this principle. A single client success story was strategically amplified, shared across channels, referenced in communications, incorporated into onboarding, and leveraged in upsell offers. Each story compounded trust, creating an ecosystem where influence alone drove conversions, retention, and referrals. Revenue multiplied effortlessly while effort remained contained. The most potent insight is that influence is not just external, it is internal. Reputation, consistency, and mastery create credibility that humans cannot ignore. Once influence begins compounding, it becomes irreversible. Every interaction strengthens perception, reduces friction, and magnifies impact. Effort invested in compounding influence produces returns far exceeding any linear calculation, and once activated, the system operates independently, generating momentum without additional labor. By the end of this chapter, the lesson is unavoidable. Influence is the multiplier that transforms effort into exponential results. Effort without influence is wasted labor. Influence without structure is under-leveraged potential. Only by compounding influence deliberately, strategically, and systematically does growth accelerate to levels ordinary labor cannot achieve. The next chapter will reveal how customer psychology can be engineered to further amplify outcomes, turning perception, urgency, and desire into systems that generate predictable, compounding revenue. Once understood, the invisible rules of human behavior become the most powerful engine in any business, transforming ordinary ventures into unstoppable machines.
Chapter 8. Psychological leverage. Most entrepreneurs and business owners fail not because their products are weak or their ideas lack potential, but because they misunderstand the most powerful force in any market: the human mind. Every purchase, every decision, every moment of action is filtered through layers of desire, fear, and perception. Understanding this is not optional. It is the difference between stagnant growth and unstoppable momentum. Psychological leverage is the engine that converts insight into influence, perception into revenue, and intent into action. Alex Hormozi mastered this principle by recognizing patterns in human behavior that most overlook. People do not buy products, they buy certainty, status, transformation, and relief from fear or pain. Every offer, every conversation, every marketing message can be engineered to align with these invisible levers. When aligned correctly, resistance collapses, urgency ignites, and the outcome becomes almost inevitable. The first element of psychological leverage is urgency. Humans are wired to act when opportunity is fleeting. Scarcity triggers a survival response. The fear of loss outweighs the rational evaluation of alternatives. Alex used scarcity not as a gimmick, but as a strategic lever. Limited-time offers, exclusive packages, and rapid onboarding processes created an environment where action was not optional, it was necessary. The result was conversions that felt natural, even irresistible. Next is certainty. People fear wasting resources, time, or effort. A meticulously structured offer that communicates predictability, guarantees, and results converts that fear into confidence. Alex's approach layered testimonials, case studies, and clear outcome frameworks, ensuring that every potential objection was neutralized before it could arise. Clients did not purchase blindly. They acted because the structure of the offer created undeniable assurance of transformation. Perceived value is another invisible multiplier. Humans evaluate worth not objectively, but relative to desire, social proof, and context. By engineering an offer where perceived value far exceeded actual cost, Alex created an environment where clients felt privileged to pay, almost as though refusing would be irrational. Every bonus, every tiered package, every structured benefit magnified perception. One small adjustment in presentation or framing could multiply conversions hundreds of % without increasing effort. Psychological leverage is not linear, it is exponential. By the end of this chapter, one principle becomes undeniable. Humans are predictable, and influence is measurable. Every outcome can be engineered by understanding the levers of desire, fear, and perception. Mastering this transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Effort without leverage is wasted. Influence without psychological understanding is limited. Only by combining these forces do actions compound, opportunities multiply, and results accelerate beyond imagination. The next chapter will expose how scaling offers, systems, and influence together can create unstoppable revenue engines that operate independently of time, energy, or effort. Once this framework is fully understood, businesses no longer grow, they explode.
Chapter 9. Multiplying Revenue Streams. Most entrepreneurs operate under a dangerous illusion that one successful product, one service, or one offer is enough to build lasting wealth. They mistake temporary victories for sustainable dominance. The truth is brutal. Reliance on a single revenue source is a silent trap. Markets shift, preferences evolve, and competitors innovate. True financial power comes not from dependence, but from multiplication. Diversifying income streams strategically so each one reinforces the other while compounding overall results. Alex Hormozi's empire demonstrates this principle with ruthless precision. He didn't stop at a single gym, a single offer, or a single client. Every system, every asset, every relationship became a lever to generate additional streams. Upsells, recurring memberships, coaching programs, affiliate partnerships, and digital content were structured to complement one another. Each new stream didn't dilute focus, it multiplied influence, authority, and revenue exponentially. The first step in multiplying revenue is understanding the difference between additive and compounding streams. Additive streams increase revenue linearly, one extra client, one extra sale. Compounding streams leverage infrastructure, influence, and psychological triggers so that a single action produces multiple layers of return. For example, a membership upgrade not only increases revenue directly, but triggers referrals, amplifies social proof, and unlocks higher-tier conversions. One touchpoint creates cascading outcomes across multiple streams. The second step is vertical integration. Many entrepreneurs sell a single solution without capturing related value. The elite, however, engineer every opportunity to extract additional revenue at every stage of the customer journey. Initial acquisition becomes a gateway to recurring services, premium packages, and strategic add-ons. Each layer is designed to extract maximum value while simultaneously enhancing perceived transformation. Revenue streams are no longer separate. They are interconnected nodes in a system designed to scale. The third step is timing and sequencing. Streams are not established haphazardly. They are launched strategically to maximize compounding impact. Introducing an upsell too early or a secondary offer too late can undermine results. Alex orchestrated every launch, every tier, and every campaign to reinforce prior efforts.
Early wins built credibility. Sequential offers escalated perceived value. By the time a client reached premium programs, conversion was almost inevitable. The flow of influence, perception, and transformation was seamless, unstoppable, and multiplying. The fourth step is automation and delegation. Revenue streams cannot truly scale if they rely on constant personal input. Systems, processes, and trained teams are essential. Alex engineered workflows where recurring income, follow-ups, and upsells operated independent of his presence. Effort was invested once, but leveraged infinitely. Each stream compounded impact without additional labor. Time became a non-factor, and revenue multiplied relentlessly. The fifth step is strategic scarcity and exclusivity. High-value offerings work not just by providing transformation, but by creating a perception of rarity. Clients perceive the opportunity as not only valuable, but limited. Scarcity intensifies urgency, exclusivity reinforces authority, and the combination multiplies conversions across multiple streams simultaneously. One premium offer triggers interest in other products, driving cross-stream compounding in a predictable, scalable pattern. Most entrepreneurs fail at this stage because they treat revenue as a byproduct rather than an engineered outcome. They focus on volume instead of architecture, hours instead of leverage, and products instead of interconnected systems. The elite treat revenue like a network, each stream enhancing the others, each interaction compounding influence, each system reinforcing scalability. This is why businesses with similar products and similar effort produce results that are orders of magnitude apart. By the end of this chapter, one truth is undeniable. Multiplying revenue is not about working harder or selling more. It is about designing systems, offers, and interactions that compound across streams. Each revenue source is not isolated. It is a node in an interconnected engine of influence, perception, and compounding results. Master this, and the growth becomes irreversible. Miss this, and even brilliance remains trapped in linear limitation. The next chapter will escalate this principle further, revealing how to combine influence, psychological leverage, and revenue multiplication into a single unstoppable machine that captures attention, converts desire, and scales exponentially without adding personal effort. Once this integration is understood, ordinary businesses transform into unstoppable empires.
Chapter 10. The Conversion Engine. Revenue is meaningless without conversion. Traffic, attention, and influence all collapse into insignificance if the pathway to action is flawed, unclear, or uninspired. The elite don't rely on luck, charm, or guesswork. They engineer conversion as a precise, repeatable, and compounding system. Alex Hormozi didn't stumble into millions. He designed engines where every interaction, every message, every touchpoint was optimized to transform curiosity into commitment and potential into profit. The first principle of the conversion engine is clarity. Humans are overwhelmed by choices, information, and noise. A single, clearly defined offer structured around transformation removes friction. Alex's gems showcase precisely what clients would gain, how it would happen, and why they could trust the outcome. Every layer of messaging was designed to leave no doubt, eliminating hesitation before it could arise. When clarity aligns with desire, the pathway to action becomes almost irresistible. The second principle is structure. Conversion is not random. It follows a predictable flow from awareness to desire to action. Alex mapped each step meticulously. Awareness was captured through targeted marketing and authority positioning. Desire was amplified through psychological leverage, testimonials, scarcity, transformation frameworks. Action was accelerated through clear, simple, and immediate calls to invest. Each step reinforced the last, creating momentum that converted potential into tangible results. Third, urgency acts as a multiplier. Humans procrastinate naturally, and inaction compounds over time. Alex engineered urgency without artificial pressure. Limited time offers, exclusive access, and incremental scarcity created natural incentives to act. Urgency was never a gimmick, it was a structural component of the conversion engine. Every offer, every interaction, every promotion was designed to align timing with psychological readiness, producing exponential increases in commitment. Fourth, social proof compounds influence. Humans validate choices through observation. Alex layered social proof, testimonials, transformations, and community reinforcement at every stage. Each success story not only reinforced credibility, but multiplied conversions by creating an environment where potential clients felt compelled to participate. The conversion engine is not built on persuasion alone, it is reinforced by social evidence that scales naturally with every additional interaction. Fifth, feedback loops optimize continuously. Conversion engines are not static, they evolve. Alex monitored responses, tracked performance metrics, and adjusted messaging, structure, and sequencing to maximize output. Every small improvement compounded, enhancing efficiency, increasing velocity, and multiplying results across all streams. The engine became self-improving, producing higher returns with the same input, turning effort into escalating momentum. The terrifying truth for those who ignore these principles is that influence, attention, and revenue potential can collapse without a functioning engine. Endless traffic and countless opportunities are wasted if the system that converts intent into action is weak. One poorly structured step, one unclear message, one misaligned touchpoint can erase exponential potential. The elite understand that the invisible machinery behind conversion is the difference between stagnation and unstoppable growth. By the end of this chapter, the lesson is undeniable. Conversion is not a moment, it is a machine. It is the engine where clarity, structure, urgency, social proof, and continuous optimization converge to create predictable, compounding results. Without it, influence and revenue multiply slowly or vanish entirely. With it, even modest attention and effort explode into unstoppable outcomes. The next chapter will escalate this concept further, revealing how to integrate the conversion engine with systems, influence, and psychological leverage to create a self-sustaining empire that grows autonomously, multiplies revenue, and dominates markets without additional labor. Once this integration is mastered, every aspect of a business becomes a force multiplier beyond ordinary imagination.
Chapter 11. The Autonomous Growth Machine. Most businesses remain tethered to the limitations of their founder. Growth is linear, effort is exhausting, and scaling stalls as personal bandwidth reaches its natural limit. The elite break free from this invisible cage by creating autonomous growth machines, systems so self-sustaining that revenue, influence, and expansion occur independently of daily labor. Alex Hormozi perfected this principle by designing businesses that could operate, evolve, and compound results without him orchestrating every move. The first principle is systemization. Every process, from acquisition to onboarding, from client nurturing to upsells, is mapped with precision. Dependencies on individuals are eliminated. A lead doesn't wait for intervention. A conversion doesn't require persuasion. Each workflow functions independently, guided by rules, triggers, and compounding logic. Labor is no longer a limiting factor. The machine multiplies output without increasing input. Next is leverage. Resources, teams, and technology are not deployed randomly. They amplify every function. A single marketing campaign can produce hundreds of conversions because the engine integrates messaging, psychological triggers, and follow-ups automatically. One team member's effort is multiplied through delegation, automation, and structured workflows. Every asset compounds the impact of every other asset, creating an unstoppable cycle of growth. Autonomous growth also relies on predictive architecture.
Every potential bottleneck, friction point, or dropout is anticipated and addressed in advance. Systems are designed to adapt, redirect, and recover without human intervention. Customer journeys flow seamlessly. Offers escalate naturally. Feedback loops optimize continuously. The machine not only functions, it improves itself, producing compounding returns that accelerate over time. Psychological leverage is embedded at every stage. Human behavior drives action, and every interaction in the autonomous engine is designed to trigger predictable responses. Scarcity, urgency, social proof, transformation, and perceived value are interwoven into sequences that operate automatically. Leads, clients, and opportunities are converted without constant oversight. Influence multiplies independently, cascading through networks and markets. Revenue diversification amplifies compounding effects. Multiple streams are integrated into the machine, each feeding into the others. Upsells, subscriptions, premium services, and recurring offers interlock to create layers of compounding value. One interaction triggers a cascade across streams, multiplying outcomes exponentially. Growth is no longer dependent on isolated wins. It compounds across a structured ecosystem. The terrifying truth for those still bound by linear effort is stark. Without autonomy, growth is capped. Personal labor, charisma, and stamina can only stretch so far. Businesses remain fragile, vulnerable, and unpredictable. But an autonomous machine converts every asset, every system, every touchpoint into unstoppable momentum. It is not just a business, it is a force that scales, dominates, and compounds without constraint. By the end of this chapter, one principle is unavoidable. Freedom and growth are inseparable when systems, leverage, and psychological design converge. The elite do not trade time for revenue. They engineer machines where effort produces exponential outcomes. Labor becomes optional. Influence becomes irreversible. Markets bend. Every input multiplies across outputs far beyond imagination. The next chapter will escalate these insights to their ultimate form, revealing the secret architecture of compounding human desire, perception, and transformation. It will show how to create offers so compelling, systems so precise, and influence so unstoppable that growth becomes inevitable. Markets cannot resist, and revenue multiplies autonomously at unprecedented speed. Once mastered, ordinary business rules are obliterated, replaced by a machine that grows infinitely without the founder's constant intervention.
Chapter 12: The Compounding Transformation Engine. Most businesses fail not because they cannot sell, but because they fail to create real, perceivable transformation. Transactions without transformation are fleeting, superficial, and ultimately worthless. The elite understand that true wealth, influence, and growth are rooted in the creation of compounding transformation, a system where each client, interaction, and engagement multiplies value, loyalty, and momentum across the entire enterprise. Alex Hormozi built his empires around this principle, designing engines where every transformation reinforced authority, credibility, and revenue. The first element is measurable impact. Transformation must be tangible, undeniable, and visible. Clients and customers must see the change they are experiencing at every step. Alex structured experiences so that progress was not only achieved, but documented, celebrated, and amplified. Each success story became a node in a compounding network, proof for future clients, motivation for current participants, and fuel for social amplification. Transformation was never abstract, it was engineered to cascade through perception, trust, and desire. Next is acceleration. Transformation compounds fastest when systems accelerate the pace of progress. Alex layered programs, interventions, and milestones to ensure clients achieved results faster than expected. Rapid wins create psychological momentum, reinforcing commitment and increasing perceived value. As progress accelerates, satisfaction multiplies, referrals increase, and retention skyrockets.
The business becomes a self-reinforcing engine where transformation triggers further transformation, both in clients and in the perception of the brand. The third element is alignment with deep human desire. Transformation is compelling only when it resonates with what people truly crave: freedom, status, confidence, mastery, and security. Offers are designed to amplify these desires, positioning change not as optional but inevitable. Psychological triggers are embedded into every touchpoint, demonstrating what life looks like before, during, and after transformation. Clients feel the difference immediately, deepening engagement and increasing the compounding effect. Fourth is scalability. Transformation cannot remain personal if it is to compound across millions of clients. Systems, automation, and structured frameworks ensure that outcomes are consistent, predictable, and replicable. One individual's success becomes a template for many. Processes designed to deliver measurable, repeatable change transform the business into an exponential engine of value creation. Effort invested once multiplies endlessly across a growing network of participants. Fifth is integration with influence and revenue systems. Each transformation feeds social proof, fuels marketing narratives, and validates pricing structures. Success stories become magnets, testimonials amplify perception, and the very process of transformation compounds revenue streams automatically. The engine does not require constant oversight. The results of transformation, once systematized, generate cascading benefits across every element of the business. By the end of this chapter, one principle is undeniable. Transformation is the ultimate multiplier. Every interaction, every offer, every system, when designed to deliver measurable, accelerating, and scalable change, compounds influence, revenue, and growth far beyond linear expectation. The elite do not merely sell products, they engineer transformation. Each success becomes a catalyst for the next, and the network effect multiplies results exponentially. The next chapter will reveal the final escalation: how to integrate autonomous systems, compounding influence, psychological leverage, and transformative engines into a single unstoppable empire. Once this ultimate architecture is understood, businesses achieve growth that is irreversible, markets cannot resist, and influence multiplies infinitely.
Chapter 13: The Unstoppable Empire. Most businesses exist. Few dominate. The difference is not size, resources, or luck. It is architecture. An unstoppable empire is not built from random wins or fleeting strategies. It is engineered, designed, and amplified across every system, every interaction, and every touchpoint. Alex Hormozi's ventures demonstrate this principle. They were not merely successful, they were structurally inevitable. Every element compounded, multiplied, and reinforced the other, creating momentum that no competitor could halt. The foundation of an unstoppable empire is integration. Influence, psychological leverage, conversion systems, autonomous growth, and transformation engines are not separate functions. They are interwoven into a single self-reinforcing organism. Each department, process, and system magnifies the impact of the others. Leads generated through marketing are converted efficiently by the conversion engine. Conversion produces transformation, which fuels social proof, accelerates influence, and amplifies revenue. Every action feeds another, creating compounding momentum across the entire enterprise. Next is scalability without dependence. Linear effort is the enemy of empires. Every system must operate independent of individual presence while maintaining compounding effectiveness. Alex structured businesses so that teams, workflows, and automation could generate results without constant oversight. One success feeds hundreds. One engine accelerates multiple streams. Human bandwidth is leveraged, multiplied, and preserved, turning time into a non-limiting factor. The third principle is compounding influence at scale. Influence grows exponentially when designed to spread automatically. Testimonials, case studies, client networks, and social proof create a cascading effect. Authority multiplies with every touchpoint.
As influence compounds, conversion becomes automatic, revenue streams accelerate, and market perception becomes irreversible. The empire's reputation precedes it, reducing friction and creating inevitability. Fourth is strategic dominance. The unstoppable empire does not merely compete, it dictates. Markets bend around it, competitors react too slowly, and customers gravitate naturally toward its offers. Scarcity, urgency, perceived value, and transformation are structured at every level to create an environment where resistance is minimized and action is nearly compulsory. Growth becomes inevitable, not by chance, but by design. Fifth is adaptability. An empire must survive shifts, disruption, and volatility. Systems are designed to respond, evolve, and optimize continuously. Feedback loops, data-driven adjustments, and predictive architecture allow the enterprise to compound results even in uncertain conditions. It is not merely resilient, it thrives. Each disruption is converted into opportunity, further accelerating influence, revenue, and authority. By the end of this chapter, one truth is unavoidable. An empire is unstoppable when architecture compounds influence, systems, psychology, transformation, and scalability into one seamless organism. Every element multiplies every other element. Every decision becomes leverage. Every interaction compounds momentum. Markets bend. Competitors falter. Growth accelerates beyond expectation. Time, effort, and attention are magnified infinitely. The next chapter will escalate these principles to their absolute peak, revealing the final, ultimate mechanism by which wealth, influence, and transformation are not just achieved, they are made inevitable, irreversible, and compounding at speeds beyond imagination. Once mastered, ordinary business rules no longer apply. The empire becomes a force that reshapes markets and multiplies results infinitely. Listen. If this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.
Chapter 14. The Irresistible Offer Multiplier. The world is flooded with offers. Most fail. They blend into noise, forgotten the instant they reach a potential client. The difference between ordinary sales and explosive growth is not product quality. It is the structure, perception, and psychology embedded in an offer. An irresistible offer multiplies revenue, influence, and transformation simultaneously. Alex Hormozi did not rely on luck, persuasion, or superficial tactics. He engineered offers that compelled action, eliminated hesitation, and created compounding effects across every system. The first element is clarity of transformation. Customers do not buy products, they buy outcomes. The offer must communicate precisely what changes will occur, how it will happen, and why it is inevitable. Every element of the offer is framed around transformation, leaving no room for doubt. When clarity aligns with desire, hesitation collapses. Alex structured offers so clients could visualize success before committing, creating internal momentum that compelled action. Next is the multiplier effect of perceived value. An offer is irresistible when the perceived benefits dramatically exceed cost. Alex layered benefits, bonuses, and guarantees in ways that made value tangible, undeniable, and even overwhelming. Perception became leverage. Clients felt fortunate to invest because the offer's structure magnified worth far beyond price. One well-framed offer could trigger multiple conversions across different streams, producing compounding revenue with minimal additional effort. Scarcity and urgency are carefully engineered levers. Scarcity is not artificial, it is structural. Limited slots, timed enrollment, or exclusive access create natural incentives to act. Urgency synchronizes with desire, triggering immediate engagement. When scarcity interacts with perceived value and clarity of transformation, resistance collapses. Decisions become automatic, almost instinctive, and the compounding effect accelerates across the entire system.
Integration with social proof multiplies impact exponentially. Each client's success, testimonial, and referral is embedded into the offer, reinforcing credibility and accelerating conversions. One story generates multiple outcomes: new clients, strengthened authority, and enhanced perceived value. The offer becomes a self-reinforcing loop where each success fuels the next, amplifying revenue and influence simultaneously. The offer must also be modular and scalable. Single transactions are amplified through structured upsells, recurring services, premium packages, and long-term engagement paths. Each additional layer is designed to maximize both perceived and actual value while multiplying the compounding effect. Alex engineered every offer as a network, each tier reinforcing the others, producing outcomes far beyond what linear thinking predicts. Psychological alignment is critical. Offers resonate most when they intersect with deeply held human desires: freedom, status, mastery, confidence, and security. Every element of structure, timing, and messaging reinforces these desires. The offer does not merely sell, it catalyzes action, magnifies transformation, and compounds influence across networks, communities, and markets. The terrifying truth for ordinary businesses is relentless. Even exceptional products fail if the offer is weak. Effort, talent, and influence are wasted without strategic framing. For the elite, however, the irresistible offer multiplies everything. Each decision, each interaction, and each transaction compounds revenue, influence, and transformation exponentially. The system itself becomes a force multiplier that scales indefinitely. By the end of this chapter, the lesson is unavoidable. Growth is not about chasing attention. It is about engineering offers that the market cannot refuse. One offer, when designed with clarity, perceived value, scarcity, social proof, and psychological alignment, produces compounding effects across every system. Momentum accelerates naturally. Conversion becomes automatic, and influence multiplies without linear effort. The next chapter will reveal how to combine the offer multiplier with autonomous systems, psychological leverage, and compounding transformation to create a business that is not only unstoppable, but entirely self-perpetuating, where growth, revenue, and influence accelerate infinitely.
Chapter 15: The Self-Perpetuating System. Most businesses grow linearly. Every sale, every client, every action requires direct effort. Momentum is fragile, scaling is slow, and growth halts when personal bandwidth is exhausted. The elite engineers self-perpetuating systems, businesses that generate results autonomously, where influence, revenue, and transformation feed each other to create unstoppable compounding momentum. Alex Hormozi's methods turn ordinary effort into perpetual acceleration, converting every interaction into a cascading network of growth. The first principle is interdependence. Every system, every process, and every offer is connected. Leads generated through marketing are automatically processed through the conversion engine. Conversions feed transformation programs, which amplify social proof, fueling influence and accelerating new leads. Each action multiplies the impact of every other action. The result is a network effect that compounds relentlessly, turning every touchpoint into exponential growth. Next is automation with intelligence. Systems operate independently but respond dynamically. Alex's framework allows feedback loops to continuously optimize outcomes. Data-driven insights adjust messaging, offers, and processes in real time, ensuring the engine improves while it runs. Every success reinforces the system. Every failure triggers refinement, and the overall momentum accelerates without additional input. Growth is no longer linear, it is exponential. The third principle is compounding transformation. Customers do not merely purchase, they evolve. Every transformation is magnified through structured milestones, social proof, and community reinforcement. One client's success generates credibility,
attracts new leads, and multiplies revenue across multiple streams. The system leverages human desire, recognition, and achievement to create a self-reinforcing loop where influence and revenue accelerate together. Fourth is the integration of scarcity and exclusivity. Access is engineered to feel limited, creating urgency that drives immediate action. Scarcity interacts with perceived value, clarity of transformation, and social proof to produce irresistible offers. When designed correctly, the system converts naturally, turning curiosity into commitment and interest into revenue. Momentum compounds automatically, producing continuous expansion without manual intervention. Fifth is scalability without dependence. The self-perpetuating system multiplies outputs across clients, offers, and markets without requiring proportional increases in effort. Teams, automation, and processes operate independently, compounding influence, revenue, and transformation across every dimension. Time is no longer a constraint. Results accelerate autonomously, producing outcomes far beyond what linear effort could achieve. The terrifying reality for conventional businesses is unavoidable. Without self-perpetuating systems, growth is finite, effort is limiting, and revenue plateaus. Ordinary strategies fail to compound, leaving potential untapped. The elite, however, have engineered a machine where every client, every interaction, and every touchpoint fuels further growth, creating unstoppable momentum that accelerates naturally across all dimensions. By the end of this chapter, one truth is undeniable. Perpetual growth is not a consequence of effort. It is the result of engineered systems, interconnected leverage, psychological alignment, and compounding transformation. When these elements converge, the business becomes autonomous, unstoppable, and infinitely scalable. Every action multiplies, every success compounds, and every interaction accelerates influence, revenue, and transformation exponentially. The next chapter will reveal how to combine all previous principles, autonomous growth, irresistible offers, psychological leverage, and transformation engines into a singular, ultimate architecture that produces unstoppable wealth, influence, and impact across every level. This is the blueprint of absolute dominance, where ordinary rules are obliterated and growth becomes inevitable.
Chapter 16. The Ultimate Architecture. Every empire begins with vision, but most fail because vision alone cannot sustain growth. The ultimate architecture is not about ambition. It is about structure, integration, and compounding systems that make success inevitable. Alex Hormozi's framework demonstrates that when influence, revenue, transformation, and automation converge into one seamless organism, the business no longer grows, it multiplies itself, dominating markets, amplifying authority, and accelerating results beyond comprehension. The foundation is system integration. Marketing, sales, transformation, retention, and expansion are no longer isolated departments. They are nodes in a single, self-reinforcing organism. Leads captured feed the conversion engine, which drives transformation, which multiplies social proof and authority, which fuels further acquisition. Every touch point, every action, and every interaction compounds across the network, creating exponential momentum. Ordinary businesses rely on isolated efforts. Elite businesses rely on the compounding effect of integrated architecture. Next is leverage magnification. Teams, automation, and processes are aligned to amplify every output. One client's success triggers multiple revenue streams. One message spreads across markets. One campaign reinforces transformation while generating new leads. Every resource multiplies impact across every layer of the system. Effort is no longer linear. It becomes exponential. Time and human bandwidth no longer limit outcomes. Autonomy is critical. Each system operates independently while contributing to the whole. Feedback loops continuously optimize messaging, offers, and interactions. Automated sequences manage client engagement,
conversion, and retention without constant intervention. The architecture ensures that growth continues even when the founder is absent, creating a business that accelerates regardless of individual effort. Psychological architecture is embedded at every level. Offers are irresistible, scarcity is strategic, and transformation is tangible. Human desire, perception, and motivation are engineered into sequences that operate automatically. Each client's engagement produces compounding influence across networks, communities, and markets. The architecture is not just functional, it is psychologically optimized to ensure maximum conversion, retention, and loyalty. The final layer is compounding transformation. Every client's result multiplies the perceived and actual value of the business. Testimonials, referrals, and success stories are embedded into the system to fuel credibility, authority, and acquisition. Transformation is not linear. It is networked, compounding, and self-reinforcing. One client's success cascades across hundreds, amplifying revenue and influence automatically. The terrifying reality for ordinary businesses is clear. Without ultimate architecture, growth is fragile, effort is finite, and success is precarious. Competitors catch up, markets shift, and potential remains unrealized. The elite, however, design their empires so that every system, every offer, every interaction, and every success compounds across every layer. Momentum becomes unstoppable, outcomes become inevitable, and growth becomes self-perpetuating. By the end of this chapter, the lesson is absolute. Ultimate architecture transforms effort into exponential impact. Influence, revenue, transformation, and automation converge into one seamless organism that multiplies itself, accelerates indefinitely, and dominates markets without constraint. Ordinary rules no longer apply. Growth becomes irreversible, markets cannot resist, and success compounds infinitely. The next chapter will reveal how to escalate this ultimate architecture into its peak form, transforming the business into a singular, unstoppable force capable of capturing attention, multiplying revenue, and scaling influence at unimaginable speed. Once mastered, the empire transcends ordinary limits, and exponential growth becomes the only reality. Chapter 17. The Peak Multiplier. Even within unstoppable empires, growth can plateau if systems, offers, and influence are not maximized to their full compounding potential. The peak multiplier is the apex of business architecture, where every element, autonomy, transformation, psychological leverage, and revenue systems interlocks to produce results that are not just exponential, but inevitable. Alex Hormozi's strategies show that mastery at this level converts every touchpoint into compounding output, turning ordinary opportunities into unstoppable expansion. The first principle is hyper-compounding. Systems are no longer simply autonomous, they amplify each other at multiple levels simultaneously. Marketing generates leads, which are converted with precision, producing immediate transformation that fuels social proof. Social proof strengthens authority, which amplifies acquisition campaigns. Every action, every outcome, every testimonial loops back into the system, compounding revenue, influence, and credibility faster than linear effort could ever achieve. One interaction produces a cascade across all networks and channels. Next is the layering of offers. The peak multiplier doesn't rely on a single offer, but a structured ecosystem of intertwined offers, each reinforcing the other. Upsells, premium programs, recurring memberships, and exclusive services are integrated into a system where each decision compounds value. A single client interaction triggers multiple revenue paths while simultaneously increasing perceived value and loyalty. Every element multiplies the others, producing exponential results. Psychological leverage at the peak level is engineered with precision. Scarcity, urgency, and exclusivity are synchronized with desire and transformation. perceived value is magnified through storytelling, social proof, and community reinforcement. Human behavior is anticipated, triggered, and magnified automatically, ensuring that action is almost instinctive. Conversion becomes a natural consequence of the architecture rather than the result of persuasion or pressure. Data-driven optimization compounds every process. Feedback loops are continuously monitored and adjusted to maximize conversion rates, retention, and revenue generation. Every small adjustment compounds across the system, amplifying efficiency and accelerating outcomes. The machine self-optimizes, producing results that continuously accelerate without additional input. Each improvement multiplies past successes, creating a compounding spiral that fuels unstoppable growth. The terrifying reality for businesses that ignore the peak multiplier is stark. Effort, talent, and resources are wasted. Growth plateaus, revenue stalls, competitors overtake, potential remains unrealized. But for the elite, mastery of the peak multiplier means every interaction, every system, every client, and every asset compounds across multiple dimensions. Influence, revenue, and transformation accelerate simultaneously. The business becomes an autonomous engine of exponential growth where every input produces amplified output across every axis. By the end of this chapter, the lesson is undeniable. Ultimate growth is achieved when every system, offer, and interaction multiplies every other element. Effort transforms into exponential output. Success compounds, accelerates, and becomes inevitable. The peak multiplier is not a tactic or strategy. It is the architecture of unstoppable, irreversible expansion. The next chapter will escalate the empire into its final absolute form, revealing the ultimate compounding mechanism that integrates all previous principles into a singular, unstoppable force. Once this final integration is complete, revenue, influence, and transformation are no longer bound by time or effort. They become perpetual, autonomous, and infinitely accelerating.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click. Chapter 18. The Infinite Compounding Force. Most businesses think growth is a series of steps. Ordinary leaders believe effort produces results. The elite understand a far more terrifying and beautiful truth. When systems, influence, offers, and transformation are fully integrated, growth ceases to be linear and becomes an infinite compounding force. Alex Hormozi's methodology demonstrates that this force, once activated, multiplies autonomously across every axis of a business, turning every input into amplified output and creating momentum that cannot be stopped, slowed, or reversed. The first principle is recursive compounding. Every result feeds another result, accelerating momentum with geometric intensity. A single successful conversion produces social proof that strengthens influence. Strengthened influence drives more leads, which flow through automated conversion engines, producing additional transformations. Each transformation amplifies perceived value, which reinforces authority and attracts new opportunities. The compounding is not sequential, it is recursive, self-reinforcing, and unstoppable. Every action multiplies every other action, producing exponential acceleration across all domains. Next is multidimensional leverage. Revenue, influence, and transformation are interdependent and inseparable. One increase in any axis amplifies the others. A transformation not only generates revenue, it fuels social proof, attracts attention, and magnifies future conversions. A well-crafted offer not only sells, it strengthens trust, accelerates authority, and multiplies engagement. The architecture ensures that every touchpoint triggers compounding outcomes simultaneously. Growth is no longer a function of effort, it is a natural consequence of system design. Psychological force is embedded at the core.
Desire, perception, motivation, and anticipation are engineered into every sequence. Scarcity triggers urgency. Value amplifies desire. Transformation creates attachment, and influence generates trust. Every human response is anticipated, amplified, and multiplied. Decisions become instinctive, action becomes inevitable, resistance collapses. The system converts human behavior into perpetual momentum, making growth autonomous and unavoidable. The feedback-driven optimization ensures continuous acceleration. Data streams, engagement metrics, and behavioral insights are continuously monitored and integrated to refine every system in real time. Each improvement compounds on previous successes. Mistakes become lessons, inefficiencies vanish, and the entire architecture accelerates without requiring additional input. The business evolves as it grows, producing outputs that multiply faster than any founder or team could orchestrate manually. The terrifying truth for ordinary businesses is inescapable. Without integration, leverage, and compounding design, growth is fragile. Linear effort leads to exhaustion. Markets move faster than responses. Potential is squandered. For the elite, however, the infinite compounding force ensures that every asset, every system, and every client interaction accelerates momentum across all dimensions. The business transforms into a living organism that grows perpetually, autonomously, and irreversibly. By the end of this chapter, one realization dominates. True expansion is not achieved through work, strategy, or tactics. It is engineered through the alignment of autonomous systems, psychological leverage, transformative offers, and compounding architecture. Every interaction becomes a catalyst. Every system multiplies outcomes, and every success compounds infinitely. Markets cannot resist. Influence becomes irreversible. Revenue accelerates autonomously. Growth is no longer limited by effort, time, or resources. It becomes a perpetual, infinite force. The next chapter will reveal the ultimate application of this infinite compounding force, demonstrating how to harness it to dominate markets, scale influence, and create wealth that is not just substantial, but unavoidable. Once mastered, the business transcends conventional limitations, and compounding results become eternal. Chapter 19. The Market Domination Protocol. Most businesses compete. Few dominate. The difference is not talent, funding, or luck. It is design. Market domination is not achieved by chasing trends or reacting to competitors. It is the deliberate orchestration of influence, perception, transformation, and compounding systems that make control inevitable. Alex Hormozi's strategies reveal that when these forces are aligned, the market becomes a stage where your business is not just present, it dictates the rules, sets expectations, and channels demand. The first principle is positioning. To dominate, a business must occupy a space in the market that is uncontested, undeniable, and compelling. Every offer, every message, every interaction communicates authority. Customers perceive value instantly because the business creates clarity in a chaotic market. Ordinary competitors sell products. Dominant businesses sell certainty, transformation, and status. Positioning is not an accident. It is engineered to amplify authority, create scarcity, and magnetize attention. Next is the velocity of influence. Market domination requires more than visibility. It requires rapid, continuous perception building across multiple channels. Testimonials, case studies, success stories, and social proof are multiplied and strategically deployed to reinforce credibility. Each story fuels another, compounding influence across networks, communities, and industries. Momentum grows geometrically rather than linearly. Competitors cannot match the speed or intensity of perception creation. The business becomes synonymous with the solution itself. The third principle is strategic scarcity. True domination thrives when the market believes access is limited and value is maximal.
Scarcity is not contrived, it is systemic. Limited availability, exclusive offers, and prioritized service create urgency. Consumers feel compelled to act immediately because the architecture of the system amplifies desire and diminishes hesitation. Scarcity interacts with perceived value and influence to create a self-reinforcing loop where demand exceeds supply automatically. Fourth is irreversible compounding. Every conversion, every interaction, every success multiplies outcomes across influence, revenue, and authority. One client's transformation generates referrals, strengthens credibility, and fuels social proof. One marketing campaign triggers multiple revenue streams while amplifying market perception. Each success is leveraged to compound subsequent successes, creating exponential acceleration that competitors cannot intercept. Ordinary businesses generate linear results. Dominant businesses generate unstoppable geometric growth. Fifth is anticipation and adaptability. Market domination requires systems that not only respond, but predict. Every trend, competitor move, and consumer behavior is tracked, analyzed, and integrated into a dynamic architecture that adjusts automatically. The business is never behind. It accelerates in front. Feedback loops, predictive analytics, and autonomous processes ensure that growth and influence remain ahead of the market, leaving competitors constantly reacting rather than leading. The terrifying reality for conventional companies is stark. Without the market domination protocol, effort plateaus, influence stagnates, and competitors seize advantage. Ordinary growth is slow, vulnerable, and finite. For the elite, however, market control is inevitable. Every interaction, every system, and every outcome compounds into perception, authority, and revenue that cannot be unseated. Influence becomes irreversible. Momentum becomes unstoppable. Markets bend to the design of the system, and domination becomes inevitable. By the end of this chapter, one truth is unavoidable. Domination is engineered, not hoped for. Every touchpoint is a multiplier. Every offer is strategically irresistible, and every success compounds influence and authority. Growth is autonomous, irreversible, and unstoppable. Businesses that master the market domination protocol do not compete. They define reality, set expectations, and control outcomes. The architecture turns ordinary effort into exponential impact, ensuring that the empire not only thrives, but commands the market entirely. The next chapter will escalate these principles to their absolute climax, revealing the final mechanism that integrates infinite compounding, ultimate architecture, and market domination into a singular, unstoppable empire capable of permanent, irreversible growth, influence, and transformation.
Chapter 20. The Absolute Empire. Most businesses grow. A few dominate. But an absolute empire transforms the entire landscape. This is not just a system or strategy. It is the convergence of influence, transformation, compounding architecture, and market control into a singular organism that grows autonomously, accelerates exponentially, and becomes irreversible. Alex Hormozi's Classibles reveal how a business transcends ordinary limitations, producing results that are unstoppable, inevitable, and compounding across every dimension. The foundation of the absolute empire is total integration. Every system, process, and touchpoint is interlocked. Marketing generates leads that flow seamlessly through conversion engines. Each conversion creates transformation, which multiplies social proof, fuels authority, and drives further acquisition. Every client interaction compounds momentum, turning individual successes into systemic acceleration. Ordinary businesses act in isolation. An absolute empire acts as a living organism where every element magnifies every other element infinitely. Autonomy multiplies results.
Teams, automation, and processes operate independently, executing with precision while feeding the broader system. Feedback loops optimize continuously, ensuring that improvements compound and efficiencies accelerate growth. Success does not depend on individual effort. It is embedded into the architecture itself. The empire grows perpetually, fueled by systems that anticipate, adapt, and act automatically. Every process magnifies influence, revenue, and authority without limit. Psychological leverage saturates every interaction. Offers are irresistible. Scarcity is strategic. Transformation is tangible, and desire is amplified through perception. Clients are not persuaded, they act because the architecture aligns instinct, emotion, and logic perfectly. Every interaction triggers compounding outcomes. Engagement produces trust. Trust fuels conversion, and conversion multiplies influence, creating a network of exponential growth. Ordinary strategies rely on persuasion. The absolute empire relies on engineered inevitability. Compounding transformation is infinite. Each client's success strengthens credibility, generates referrals, and reinforces social proof. Each outcome feeds the system, creating unstoppable cycles of influence and revenue. Multiplication occurs at every level. One success cascades into dozens, hundreds, or thousands of additional outcomes. Growth becomes recursive, self-reinforcing, and autonomous. Momentum accelerates geometrically rather than linearly, producing results that outpace expectation, effort, and conventional reasoning. Market domination is embedded at the core. Scarcity, exclusivity, and strategic positioning ensure that the empire sets the rules, dictates perception, and channels demand. Competitors react rather than lead. Every interaction, offer, and system is designed to strengthen authority, expand influence, and accelerate revenue. The empire does not follow trends, it creates them, bending markets to its design. Ordinary businesses compete for attention. The absolute empire commands it. Feedback-driven optimization ensures continuous acceleration. Data, engagement, and behavioral insights are continuously integrated into the system to refine every process in real time. Each refinement multiplies past successes. Inefficiencies vanish. The architecture evolves while operating, creating a compounding spiral of growth that is unstoppable. Time, effort, and resources are no longer limiting factors. The empire transcends ordinary constraints. By the end of this chapter, one truth is undeniable. An absolute empire is not achieved by chance, effort, or luck. It is engineered through perfect integration, autonomous systems, psychological leverage, compounding transformation, and market control. Every interaction multiplies every other element. Every success compounds influence, revenue, and authority. Growth is not linear, it is exponential, unstoppable, and inevitable. The absolute empire is a living organism, a force that cannot be reversed, slowed, or resisted. Markets bend, competitors falter, and outcomes accelerate perpetually. Every element of the business functions as a multiplier. Every system compounds results, and every interaction triggers irreversible momentum. Ordinary rules no longer apply. Influence is inevitable. Revenue accelerates autonomously, and transformation compounds infinitely. The empire does not grow. It multiplies, dominates, and endures, becoming the ultimate expression of unstoppable success.
Final chapter: the perpetual apex. At the summit of business mastery lies a realm beyond ordinary comprehension, a domain where influence, revenue, transformation, and compounding architecture converge into an unstoppable, perpetual apex. This is not merely growth or dominance. It is the ultimate orchestration of all principles, where every system, offer, interaction, and decision multiplies outcomes exponentially, autonomously, and infinitely. Alex Hormozi's $100 million framework is not a roadmap. It is the blueprint for absolute inevitability. The first axis of this apex is infinite leverage. Every element of the empire, from leads and conversions to client success and social proof, feeds the whole while amplifying itself. One client's success does not end with a transaction. It triggers cascades across networks, markets, and communities. Every touchpoint compounds influence, revenue, and authority simultaneously. Each component reinforces every other, producing a recursive, self-propagating system of expansion that no single competitor or external force can match. The architecture converts effort into autonomous acceleration. Next is omnidirectional momentum. In conventional business, growth is limited by bottlenecks, human capacity, and linear effort. At the perpetual apex, those constraints vanish. Systems operate independently yet interlock perfectly, each action multiplying the next. Marketing funnels, automated sequences, irresistible offers, and psychological leverage synchronize to create velocity in every direction. The empire expands in influence, authority, and revenue without proportional increases in input. Every cycle compounds faster than the last, producing exponential acceleration across every layer of operation. Psychological perfection fuels perpetual engagement. Scarcity is timed, value is magnified, transformation is undeniable, and human desire is anticipated and activated at every turn. Clients do not merely act, they instinctively participate in their own transformation because the architecture aligns emotion, logic, and perception perfectly. Each conversion triggers a chain reaction. Trust strengthens influence. Influence amplifies acquisition. Acquisition produces transformation, and transformation fuels momentum. Ordinary tactics manipulate. This apex orchestrates inevitability. Feedback and optimization are infinite. Every metric, interaction, and response is continuously absorbed into the system to refine offers, processes, and messaging. Adjustments compound across all dimensions, increasing efficiency, perception, and conversion automatically. Mistakes are instantly corrected, gaps are amplified into opportunities, and every improvement accelerates the entire architecture. The empire evolves autonomously while operating, ensuring growth, influence, and transformation are both unstoppable and permanent. The final axis is market sovereignty. At this level, the empire does not compete, it defines the market. Strategic scarcity, elite positioning, and irresistible offers create demand that is uncontested. Authority becomes self-reinforcing, perception becomes unassailable, and competitors are forced to react to an empire that dictates terms, trends, and expectations. Every action consolidates control, every success compounds influence, and the system scales indefinitely. Ordinary businesses chase opportunity. The perpetual apex creates it. The terrifying truth for those who fail to understand this model is simple. Effort alone cannot replicate compounding architecture. Influence cannot be bought or faked. Revenue cannot be sustained without integrated systems. Only through deliberate design, recursive compounding, autonomous execution, and psychological alignment can a business reach this apex. For the elite, however, the perpetual apex ensures that every input produces multiplied output, every success compounds momentum, and every system operates perpetually without pause or intervention. By the end of this culmination, one realization dominates. Wealth, influence, and transformation are not the product of luck, timing, or effort. They are the result of engineered inevitability. Every system, offer, and interaction converge into perpetual momentum. Markets bend, growth accelerates, and outcomes multiply infinitely. The empire transcends ordinary limits, creating results that are unstoppable, irreversible, and compounding across every dimension of business and human endeavor. This apex is not a destination. It is a living architecture. Every success strengthens itself. Every interaction multiplies another, and every system perpetuates exponential acceleration. The empire does not merely thrive, it dominates, expands, and compounds infinitely, leaving ordinary rules behind.
The perpetual apex is the ultimate expression of Alex Hormozi's $100 million money models, a framework where influence, revenue, and transformation converge to produce unstoppable, inevitable, and infinite results. Once this is internalized and executed, nothing in the market, human behavior, or competition can reverse the trajectory. Every effort compounds, every system accelerates, and every success reinforces the architecture. The business is no longer a collection of actions. It is a perpetual organism of exponential growth, dominance, and transformation that continues indefinitely, beyond limits, beyond effort, and beyond expectation.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.